Morning, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Some of the slides are coming up here, but as Marina said, my name's Heather Cruz. I'm coming all the way from San Diego, and I don't know what I did in my former life that I always have to follow Kate. Gosh, again. If you weren't here on the first day, I did a whole spiel of, gosh, I don't enjoy following Kate, but for all the great reasons. And Kate and I actually work really in collaboration oftentimes, as she is San Diego Unified. I'm Chula Vista Elementary School District, which is a school district that is close to the Mexico border. And so we are only TK through sixth grade, and so she's or San Diego Unified, Andrea and Kate are a much larger school district than us, but I still say we are the largest elementary school district in the entire state. So we are a very big elementary school district, but you're going to hear a little bit of overlap here because I do collaborate a lot with Kate, and then also because a lot of the resources that are available are within the county. So apologies for any repetition. I'll try and skip over those parts a little bit more. But first, I just wanted to start with a check-in. So if you get your phone out, I know we said to put our phones away, but if you get your phone out and click on this, I'd like you to just select, how are you currently feeling about implementing or advancing your site or your district or your organization's employee wellness efforts? You get a choice. Whichever one. How are you feeling about advancing employee wellness efforts at this moment? Yeah, so something I do often with different presentations, I mean, people love the little pictures, and I didn't say there's no words on there as to which one's which. You can interpret it however you want, right? And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about check-ins in a little while, but again, there I am. Marina already gave the introduction. One maybe fun fact about me is that I have been in Chula Vista Elementary School District for my entire career. So all of these different job titles that I've had have all been within Chula Vista. And so I feel that I do know the community very well. But as I've been here this week talking with everybody, it is amazing to me to hear the knowledge that everybody brings, because I did come up through the instructional pathway. So I bring a different lens to health and wellness, where I know when I'm talking with the food service directors and our farm to school managers, they have all this knowledge, and I'm like, gosh, I don't know any of that. I don't know any of that. But I know that I also bring my own qualities to health and wellness. And so just a little bit about our school district. Like I said, we have high free and reduced price meal, people that qualify for free and reduced price meals. And then what I'm going to talk about mostly today, though, is our employees. So we have over 3,000 employees, about half of those being certificated and the other half being classified or management. And so my objectives today, I forgot I have my notes here too. Our objectives today are to inspire. I want to inspire you guys by hopefully helping you understand that a district needs to operate as a highly functioning system. It can't just be one piece. It can't just be a program. It can't just be resources that are provided. I really want you to understand the idea that we need to be operating as a highly functioning system. And for those of you that aren't an employee of a school district, I just say school district employees, but in any organization, this is going to be extremely important. And I believe that the information I'm providing you today is applicable to any organization. It doesn't have to be just a school district. I hope that today I'll be able to support you in identifying a structure for implementing an employee wellness program. So on your tables, there was a handout, a 10-step pathway that I hope, I don't, it's not that you have to do each one of these, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about what we've done and what we've learned from this. And this pathway is something that if I had this at the beginning, I'd be like, okay, I don't feel so, I'm not the cat that's on the check-in going, I can't do this. So this was helpful. We created this after a few years of doing this work. And then I hope that I hope that you guys will dream alongside of me. I hope that you'll dream about the different possibilities of what employee wellness can look like within an organization.
Are you ready?
So that's just a brief introduction to some of the different things that we've done in Chula Vista Elementary School District as far as employee wellness goes. But I do want to give you a chance to talk about what your current status is in your organization. So this is going to be an interactive presentation because they said, Heather, get up there and talk for over an hour about employee wellness. I'm like, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear me talk for an hour. So, but that's not the main reason. I know I want to give you guys time to actually put some of this into action. And so first thing I'm going to have you do is a four corners activity. I'm going to have you get into different groups based on your current job. And so I'm going to, if you are associated with an elementary school specifically, that might be like, I know yesterday we had an elementary school teacher here. And so elementary, I'm going to have you guys over here in this corner, just in front of this door. If you are tied to a secondary or unified school, then I'm going to have you go in the back over by where Kirsten is. If you are with a district office, I'm going to have you go in this other corner. And then if you are some other entity, maybe a community organization, I'm going to have you come up here. Once we're in our corners, I'm going to have you break into groups of 3, no more than 4. And then what you're going to do is share for a maximum of 60 seconds. I know that's hard, which means that only the person is sharing. There's not a lot of going back and forth, lots of question asking, okay? Right now we're just sharing. How is your district or organization currently supporting employee wellness? And if you don't need the whole 60 seconds, that's okay. If the answer is we're not, that's okay. All right? So when I say wow, you are going to get up and you are going to move to your corner and you're just going to stand there. You're not going to start answering the question yet. Okay? Wow.
People wellness.
Ooh, ooh. Elementary, secondary, unified, district office, other organizations. You can introduce yourself at this time, but don't start talking yet about the question. brief introductions. Perfect. All right. So what we're going to do now is, I see my elementary, you guys can be just one group, but every other one, you're going to break up into smaller groups of 3 or 4. Like my district office, there's no way we're going to get to everybody talking. So put yourself into small groups of 3 or 4. Go ahead. Let's see how quickly. I bet you can do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Almost. There we go. I think we got it. Secondary unified. They're not used to counting anymore. There we go. All right. And if you can hear me, put your hands on your head. Put your hands on your shoulders. And relax. Thank you. All right. So we were going to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but not right now. Okay, so you're going to go around and you're going to take turns, 60 seconds each. How is your district or organization currently supporting employee wellness? Go.
Right now,
To wrap it up. Please thank your partners. Thank them and return back to your seat. You will get to see them again, don't worry. Thank you. You guys can go back to your seats. Thank your partners and you can go back to your seats. So, it's definitely been a journey. As I was walking around and listening to the different groups, oh, a special walk. I like that. As I was walking around listening to the different groups, I heard some people saying, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing this, and then others saying, oh no, none of this. And so I want you to rest assured that it can be done, but I also want you to know that it's a journey. You'll notice that this pathway, or the picture of the pathway, doesn't fit in the box. And that was intentional because this journey that I've been on has not fit in the box. And I wish that I could stand up here and tell you that we followed that pathway and we just keep on going. But guess what? There have been roadblocks the entire way. And so I don't want to discourage you. I actually want to encourage you that there are going to be roadblocks, but you're going to get over them. There are some things I've had to just say, let it go. I'm going to give you an example of one of them in a little bit. But it is a journey. But guess what? It is a rewarding journey, but it also is a journey that as you're going along, you can make the pivot and still be okay. Because anything that you're doing is better than doing nothing at all. So I just wanted to share our journey. And oftentimes when I present about employee wellness, I have my colleague with me. His name is Jorge Mora, and he is our Executive Director of Human Resources. And so I don't want to take all the credit for this work. I will. But he works alongside me. So when I say our journey, it's really Chula Vista Elementary School District's journey. But him and I really spearhead all of this work as almost like a side job because it's not really in our job descriptions, but it is a passion of ours. So I just wanted to share how we got inspired to do this work. It was back in 2019. We had just done our assessment of implementation of wellness policy, believe it or not. That's where this all started. As part of our triennial assessment, we were doing the Healthy Schools Program assessment before we did Thriving Schools Integrated Assessment. And so I had our site wellness leads, which if you were here on Tuesday, you heard about. And so I utilized them to complete the assessment. And they complete the assessment, and then of course we come back and we look at the data. And at that time in that assessment, I had them do the entire assessment, which was long, and it had maybe 8 topic areas, maybe six topic areas. And as I bring them back and talk about the data with them, we had physical education and physical activity. It was kind of like nutrition education, okay. Employee well-being. Think it was high? Think it was low? Show me with your thumb. High or low? Low. It was at the bottom, across the board. I didn't have one out of our 50 schools that didn't have it at the bottom. And it hit me really hard, like, oh my gosh. We talk about our students. The title, Helping Our Students by Helping Our Teachers. When I talk about my why, it's often about the students. but I knew that we were doing a disservice to our students if we weren't helping our employees. And in that Site Wellness Leads meeting, they shared, the Site Wellness Leads shared their stories, and as they looked at the data and said, no, this is definitely accurate because blah, 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 the story that they had. This person, without using names, of course, came to me and wanted to get some resources. Or this person was really struggling and I just sat with them. Or this person, and the stories went on and on. And Mr. Mora, who I used to be my principal when I was a teacher, and is a close friend of mine, I went into his office after that meeting and I said, Jorge, we have to do something. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, here's what just happened. Here was the meeting that I just had. And he said, Heather, in my position in HR, I hear the same thing day after day. People are coming to me and they are saying, I need help. And what he told me was, here's what I do. I have this little pamphlet. It's an EAP, an Employee Assistance Program. And I give him the packet. He's a really good listener, but ultimately he's like, yes, I feel for you. Here's a packet. And that's not enough. And so we knew we needed to do something. And so he said, what should we do? I said, well, I'm glad you asked. So you guys have all heard this saying before, correct? If you've flown before, you've probably heard secure your own mask before assisting others, right? And we believe that. I just said, I knew that our teachers had to be well in order to help our students. So I believe this. But imagine what would happen if a person that is needing support, they don't even have to be in crisis, but that's needing support, goes to secure their own mask and there is no mask there. Or goes to secure their mask, puts it on, and no oxygen comes out. They're looking for the help, and the system is not operational or is not there at all. And so what we're doing in Chula Vista is we're working towards ensuring that our system is fully operational and easily accessible to all of our employees. These are some key mental health statistics, which are alarming. And this was 2019, pre-pandemic, and we said, we know this tidal wave is coming, and then about a year later, it hit us. And so these are pre-pandemic statistics. I'm not sure if they've changed since then. Pretty sure they probably have. But we know that the teaching profession is at the top of all professions as far as stress. It is equal to our healthcare workers that are the front lines of dealing with trauma. Our teachers are, the stress is right there with them. I want you to know that this is the QR code for all the resources that I will be presenting, including the 10-step pathway that I'm going to talk about in a second. As I've said in the 2 other presentations, it's also a link to the other presentations that I've done. So this one will be the one on employee well-being. And so you'll have access to this presentation and to the 10-step pathway. And so what I thought would be helpful, and I'll put this up again at the end, so if you don't get it right this second, that's fine. So as I mentioned, what I think is helpful is to have some sort of plan of what you're going to do. And so I'm going to walk you through this today. So the 10-step pathway, no, sorry, I'm clicking on one and not the other. So the 10-step pathway, as I mentioned, is just something that we created a couple years after doing this work. So there's 10 steps, good name for it, right? And the first step is deciding who's going to be on your team. I encourage you to start small. Ours started with just Jorge and myself. It has expanded, but when we were doing a lot of the beginning stuff, it was too much to have a bunch of people providing all their ideas. We needed to start small. And so then we said, okay, but why are we here? What are we doing? And so we created a vision and mission statement and then an action plan. So I'm going to go over those. First, a vision. Here's our vision that we came up with. And we came up with this statement by thinking about our ultimate goal. If we were able to accomplish everything that we wanted to, what would that result in? That's our vision. Mental and physical well-being for all district personnel. And then coming up with a mission. And the mission is our general overall plan of what to do in order to realize our vision. And this is closely tied to our action plan that we'll talk about here in a second. That's more about how are we going to accomplish this mission. So our mission, we thought it was extremely important, as you've heard me say multiple times, that we're not just throwing resources out there. It is important to have a program, but it's also important to have things in policy. And then it's also important to have benefits for your employees. I can't tell you how many employees we lose to San Diego Unified because they pay 100% health benefits for their employees and families. We pay employee only. And then obviously they're able to get it for their family, but it's at a cost. Benefits are important. And then we also need those environmental supports. I was thinking about Devender's presentation yesterday where he showed the cafeteria and everything that's going on. That's an environmental support for his staff. We need to have all of these things. It can't just be one or the other. So through all of these things, employee wellness will improve employee well-being, right? Yes, of course. But we also want to empower our employees. We want to empower them to have the awareness and the skills to make decisions so that they can be the best that they can be, health-wise especially, both physically and mentally. We wanted to positively affect the employee morale and job satisfaction. And we knew that if we could do this, that it would optimize performance and productivity to contribute to the mission of the district, which is educating our students. But I do want to make it clear that that wasn't the only reason we were doing this. We were doing this because we cared about the employee. Like, really actually care about you and how you are doing. We want you to be well. And so, yes, it results in these other things, but whenever we have the chance to talk about it with our employees, we try to tell them, like, no, really, we really do want you to be okay. But as you know, actions speak louder than words. So we have to do things along with that, with saying that. Oh, speaking of actions, action planning, we have to do this. You have to have some sort of plan. You can't just start doing all these things. That's my theory. If Jorge was up here, he would say, well, let's just start doing it all, right? And so we work well together because he'll say, yeah, I was ready to go, and she said, no, let's have a plan. And so we believe that this is the best way to make sure that things are getting done, but also to be able to um, to record what you've done and see the progress. So this picture over here really was just our very first brainstorm of various things like, what's an idea? Oh, chair massages. Cool, that'd be fun. Okay. All these things that we could ever think of, just put it on there. How will it happen? Who knows? Will it happen? Who knows? But it was just kind of like our brain dump, right? And so we did that first. And then we came up with an action plan. This was one of our first action plans that you can see here. And we decided, we thought it was important not only to be supporting physical health, but also mental health. And then we knew that there were other just general wellness. We do have some financial health that we address as well. And so then within physical health, we broke it down even further. Physical activity. What are we going to do for our employees' physical activity? What are we going to do about nutrition? What about medical health? And then for mental health, you can see stress management, emotional well-being, psychological well-being, social well-being. Okay. And so we weren't going, you see, some of them are blank. You're not going to do all of them all the time. You shouldn't. Unless you have somebody that can just do this all the time, that'd be wonderful. I'll apply, please. No. But so you can't do them all, but you have to start somewhere. And so then you can see the different things, person responsible. You're going to come back and visit this. That'll be one of the action steps. And so when was this completed? And what resources would you require in order to get this done? What are some barriers that might come up as you are doing this? And then who are some possible collaborators? So I want us, like I said, to be interactive here. And so on that 10-step pathway, I'm going to give you just a couple minutes. This is going to be individual. You can talk with the person next to you if you want, but this is really your reflection time in what's your next best step in employee wellness, right? So first, maybe it's who's on your team. Are you going to have other people that are passionate in the area? Who might it be? I'm going to ask you on number 1 to write those ideas down. Number 2, create a vision and mission statement. No, don't create it right now. I'm not asking you to do that in 2 minutes, but are there key components that you think, okay, I definitely want to have that in my mission statement or in my vision statement? And then develop an action plan. What's your next step in developing an action plan? Is it to set up a meeting with a team? Is it to talk with your superintendent, with your supervisor? Maybe you want to decide on some domains and headings. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to reflect on those first 3 steps of the pathway. Go ahead.
More seconds.
All right, let's come back together so we can get moving on that path. And as we do, I'm going to ask you to check in again. It's the same check-in. It hasn't changed, but you've been able to talk with some other people now. You've been able to hear a little bit about what might be possible. You've received the pathway. So how are you feeling now? Go ahead and check in once again. If it's the same, that's fine. You can mark it again. Sometimes during this presentation, I find that people at first were like, "Oh yeah, I'm good," and then I start talking and they're like even more anxious. They're like, "Oh geez, that's a lot that's going on." So wherever you're at, it's okay, because it is important to check ourselves and how we're doing. That's a part of employee wellness as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next 3 steps on the pathway. Gaining support, developing and distributing a survey, and revisiting your action plan. I'll move through these pretty quickly because I think it's pretty it's pretty obvious that you have to gain support. You have to gain the support of whoever your supervisor is, and then ultimately, hopefully, it will get up to the highest levels where they can support your efforts. But one of the things that I will say is really important is to bring data. You need to make sure that you're bringing data to the leadership that you're talking about. Maybe it is your data from your Thriving Schools Integrated Assessment. Maybe you need to get together with whoever is in charge of your wellness policy and the Triennial assessment and get the data from them. Maybe it's the health statistics data, the mental health data that I provided, and say, hey, here's what it's showing. This is why we need to do some of these things. So bring data and collect data regularly. The other thing that's very important is gaining support from the bargaining groups. I talked about it yesterday when we were talking about the survey, but you need your bargaining groups to be on board. We met with both bargaining groups and just talked about employee wellness and the things that they were hearing from their employees. And we wanted to say, we're here, we want to partner with you on this. We want to be available for any questions that you have, because we're going to be putting things out that may be a little bit uncomfortable for some. And so we met with them, and we continue to meet with them regularly to get buy-in from all of our different employee groups. And then meeting with your organizational leadership, whether that is your site supervisor, if it is your cabinet level employees, whoever it is. And that might be a challenge, right? You might not be able to make an appointment with the superintendent or the CEO, but can you go through your supervisor and say, here's what I think is important, and here's what I would like you to present to them? If you're at a school, maybe through your ILT. Maybe you can present at a board meeting. That would be wonderful. And so just making sure that you're getting these people on board is going to be extremely important. If you were with me yesterday when I talked about the survey, our superintendent did a video about the survey. And that's how we got people to say, okay, yes, I'm going to do this. Even our superintendent is looking for us, is caring and going to be seeing the data. And then surveying staff. Again, I'm not going to go over all this, but because I did a presentation on it yesterday, but it is a big component of this. We wanted to make sure that we met with our bargaining groups, that we got this information out to all of our staff, that we got information from them, and that they knew that it was going to be anonymous and that it wasn't being used for evaluative purposes. And continually adapting and continually persevering. And I will be honest, it was maybe 2 years ago when we had some really cool things going on, I thought, as far as employee wellness. And we had low usage numbers, which I was okay with. I was okay with that because it was around mental health. And not everybody at the same time needs to access therapy support or counseling for their mental health. And so low numbers was okay with me, but it was decided that we weren't going to continue with that anymore. We weren't going to allocate funding to that anymore. And it just really hurt. And I really wanted to give up and be like, you know what? This isn't part of my job description. I don't have to do this. But then I did go back to, okay, but really, again, why are you doing this? It's for the employees, right? And so definitely have to have perseverance. And then obviously revisiting that action plan often. Going back, it really, sometimes when I want to stop doing it, I look at my action plan and I see what I have accomplished, what we have accomplished, and it motivates me to keep going. So yes, you need to revisit that action plan often because you want to see where you're headed, but it's also a way, as Andrea and Kat and Kate said, like to celebrate that success along the way. So I'm going to give you just a few moments to reflect on this and take your next step on the 10-step pathway. So when we talk about gaining support, who are those people that you would want to meet with? Which stakeholders would be your next step in gaining support? And then if you were to develop and distribute a survey, what tool would you use? We've heard about several of them this week. I used, just so you know, I don't think I mentioned this in the survey presentation, but I used JotForm. That's how I collected it. Now they didn't give me the questions. I had to come up with the questions, but that was the platform that I used to distribute and get the responses for the survey. What information would you want to get out of a survey? Okay. And then I want to move on to our step number 7, lucky number 7. And this is by far my favorite part. I love establishing partnerships. And then I put on there a few that you can be thinking of. Is it mental health organizations, a health insurance broker, the city's recreation department? So I'm going to share a little bit about my favorite part. We have a CVESD employee intramural sports program. And I can tell you this has maybe been the most rewarding part of my job. Okay. And so how this came about is that the city of Chula Vista, they had a representative on our wellness committee, and we were talking one day, and I said, I think the social well-being is so important. We want them to feel connected with their colleagues, but we also just want them to get out and have fun. We want them to be physically active, but we want them to have fun. And this has been fun 98% of the time. I'll tell you about the 2% after the presentation. So we worked with the city of Chula Vista, and they run it. We tell them what we want, they run it, because we can't take on that liability, right? We can't take on workers' comp claims because they fell during soccer. And sadly, we've had multiple injuries. So it happens. It happens. It's going to be part of it. And I don't just mean like scrapes, I mean like surgeries. Yeah. So know that's going to happen. But guess what? They're being physically active. And so we started with softball and we had about 10 teams, and it was each school site was able to have a team. But then we quickly realized that, okay, well, Jenny over here from this school wants to play, but there's only 4 of them from her school site that want to play. So Jenny doesn't get to participate? No. And so it is kind of like school against school against school, but you can be on any team. If your school doesn't have one, and I put that in the communications, if your school doesn't have one, then please contact me, and I can get you in contact with other kind of stragglers and put you into a team together. Or if you know that another school has a team, you can join their team. So it's not like you have to be only on your school's team. So we started with softball. It was a great hit. People loved it. And then we moved on to indoor soccer. Indoor soccer is extremely intense. It is a lot. And so we had less participation in that. We had about, I think we had 8 teams, but they're smaller teams as well, where softball is about a roster of 20, and soccer is more like a roster of about 14. And so then we did bowling. Bowling was not with our city Parks and Rec department. This was just a bowling alley that is around us, and we went and met with them. And I can tell you, this one's number 1. They love it. And this was important because we knew that not everybody felt comfortable participating in a sport that was so physical. But bowling brought out all different types of people. And so we have bowling going on right now. Our first time doing bowling was the last day that we were supposed to bowl was the day that we shut down for COVID. It was so sad, so sad. And we just got it back up. We are in the middle of our bowling season right now. I think we're on week 4 right now. Super fun. And again, all that we do is that we send out the information and we do a sign up, and then we provide the teams to the bowling alley or the city and say, here are the teams. And on everything I send out, I say this is not a district sponsored event. The other thing you need to be thinking about here is who's going to be able to participate. Because depending on how big your district is, like I said, we have about 3,000 employees in our district. If you have a district of only 400 employees, not everyone's going to participate. You're not going to have enough teams to compete against each other. But what we did was we allowed spouses and family members to participate in softball. What greater thing than to be on a Friday night going out there and having your family together and being alongside your colleagues. And then a lot of them, I mean, we had so many people in the stands coming and cheering. If an employee didn't want to participate, they would come and cheer on their team. Here we have the principal right in the middle here, and her team here called Straight Outta Class was their name. Yeah, we have the Incredibles up here. So super fun things to do, but you do need to think about who you're going to allow to participate. Like I said, first we started with employees plus spouse plus immediate family members. And that's what was allowed for soccer. And we made a change after that. We actually didn't do soccer for a while because it got a little nasty. And so, because we would have let's say me, and I have my 18-year-old son who is just fresh out of club soccer, and he's out there playing with me who is not into soccer, and I'm just out there to kind of run around, and he's going hard against somebody, and that somebody's like, dude, we are just here for fun, right? And he's like, oh no, we're winning. And so lesson learned, no longer for soccer, not including family members. It is actually employee only, not even spouses, for soccer. For for softball, yes, we do employee and spouse only, because once we did family members, it was, well, this person is this and that. And I'm like, no, okay, it's only employee and spouse. Family members can come and watch. And then for bowling, it's employee plus spouse only. So we have about 25 teams right now in bowling. Yeah, it's super fun. So I highly recommend it. It might seem like a lot of work. This is probably the most minimal work that I have to do for employee wellness, because I don't have to every month create an amazing newsletter. I don't have to keep up on the website. I don't have to continually do things. I set it up at the beginning and then it's done. And the city runs it for us. I'm going to skip over this because I think that our San Diego Unified friends did a great job about talking about what can happen. We did have, through VIBA, we had HIT classes, high intensity interval training classes at our district website. At our district office. We actually have a room that is a workout room where we would hold these classes. We had a trainer that would come in and facilitate these classes for our employees. And so they did that for us. They're doing a pilot program through VIBA where they're working with 3 different schools on doing, instead of HIT classes at the district office, we're now doing them at the school site. So schools don't have, or the employees don't have to travel to the office in order to participate. But they're not only doing physical classes, or physical health classes or physical activity, they're also doing mental health classes, mindfulness classes, doing yoga. It's what the staff wants. So VIBA has been working with the principal on surveying the staff to find out what is it that site wants. And they created this beautiful calendar here for the school. And then we also do, similar to San Diego Unified, we have monthly webinars that are tied to our wellness theme for the month or for the quarter. We also have on-site healthcare for our students and staff. It's called Campus Clinic, is who we partner with. And this started with COVID, where they would just come and test all of our students on site. And it has progressed into, we continue to do weekly testing at all of our sites for anybody that's interested. It's not a requirement, but some families still want their student to be tested regularly. And so they take a little cart to each classroom, and then the kids come out, they're out of their class for maybe 2 minutes, and then go right back in, and then the parent gets the result of the test right then and there. Staff are also able to participate in that if they want. But then we also have mental wellness, where students and staff are able to sign up for counseling sessions with an LMFT. And so the student can be pulled out of class and participate in these counseling sessions right there. And if the parent wants to Zoom in, they can be a part of the sessions as well. And so it's making it so that they don't have to take them out of school, take them to the provider to get access to care. It's right here on our campus. I think this is the future with community schools, this on-site healthcare that we're doing. And then we also have the provider that's going into classes and providing educational series around different topics, nutrition, physical activity. So this is great. It's a really cool program that we have. It's new, and so we don't have a ton of numbers around it. And what we're really working on is marketing this and making sure that everyone knows that it's accessible to them. This is the same, the provider can also see kids for any like medical issues that they're having if they're on site that day. So, who are some people or organizations that you might reach out to establish partnerships? I'll give you about 30 seconds to write those down on number 7. All right, just a few more to go. So moving on to the final 3 steps that I have here, and you can obviously add as many steps as you want to this, but they are implement weekly check-ins, promoting and marketing, and then seeking funding opportunities. So I had you do a check-in at the beginning and then at the middle, and then I'll have you do another one at the end. That's a lot, 3 in an hour. I don't recommend that. Your employees might kill you if you try to do that. But there is data and research around the importance of checking your mood on a regular basis. Checking in with yourself and seeing, how am I doing? And so we implemented this with our staff as part of our Wellness Wednesday efforts. And so this would go out to them, and they would get the pandas, and they would get to click. So sometimes I would have usually the email would say something like, it's Wellness Wednesday, reminder to check your mood, and it would just have the pandas there. And they would click on which one they felt. They were feeling good, struggling but handling it, or really having a hard time and may need additional support. This was anonymous, again, the importance of meeting with our bargaining groups. This was completely anonymous, but if they did click on, if they clicked on feeling good, it said something like, it had emojis, a bunch of different emojis. And they got to pick, like, how were they feeling good? Was it they were excited? Was it that they were content? Were they feeling silly? Whatever it was. They got to pick their emoji. When they were struggling but handling it, they got to go and pick where they would like to go to relax. The beach, the library, their bed. And so it had different options for them there. If they clicked on really having a hard time and need additional support, it would take them to Mental Health of America, who we had a partnership with at the time. And it was a number that they could call where they could get a call back within 24 hours where they could get some free counseling. It was up to 6 sessions that they could have free. And then if they wanted to continue, they'd be able to continue with their health insurance. But so this was really, really cool, and people loved the pandas. But I will warn you, there were a few that didn't love it. They didn't like it when we got to that bargaining time that I talked about in one of my previous conversations. And they really made their voice heard that, hey, you need to support us by giving us a raise. And so where I said my path goes off, it's not nice and in the box, we don't do this anymore. I know, it's very sad. But I'm still going to be providing the support. But I say that because, and it may come back, it needs to rest for a little while. I'm not saying that it's done forever, but I do want to also be honest and say that sometimes things don't go exactly the way you wanted them to. I can't tell you, people would contact me after we stopped doing it. Where's my panda? Where's my panda? And they would be talking and they would say, while it was going on, they're saying, I was having a head in the ground panda kind of day. Like they really took this on. So I don't want to discourage you from that. I think it can be amazing, or some other way to regularly check in with your staff and say, I'm here. And I used this data to take to leadership and say, here's how our employees are doing. And we saw it, we implemented it pre-COVID, and then after COVID, you saw a huge rise in the really having a hard time. Promotion and marketing is always important. So we created a logo. I encourage you to create some sort of logo where it can stand out. So everything, the handout that you have there, it has our school district logo at the bottom, but it also is our own logo around employee well-being. We also created a separate email account because, as I said, we are trying to create a system that is far beyond Heather Cruz or Jorge Mora. Far beyond. When I leave, I want this to carry on. I don't want it to be, oh, well, let me search the emails from Heather. So we have a staff wellness email. It's cvsd.staffwellness@cvsd.org. And then our IT department linked that to my account and to Jorge's account. So whenever someone emails cvsd.staffwellness, it comes to me and I can respond. And then that can be passed on to whoever takes on this work after me. Present to your board, provide regular updates. That's all important. Have social media of some sort. I'm really bad at this. I wish I was. I'm going to hire a vendor, right? Yeah, follow me around for video. Yep, exactly. But then really just making sure, I love San Diego Unified's information about how they get the information out to their employees. We needed to market really a lot. And so what we did, we created this flyer here and it had clickable links where they could learn about staff intramural sports. We had monthly challenges, the HIIT fitness classes. But what also works is incentives, and we were able to get our district to allocate $10,000 for prizes. And so what we did was each month we did a drawing of who participated in any of the offerings that we had. And so if you participated in all three, then you got 3 entries. And so then we use Microsoft Teams, a Teams meeting, and everyone got on and I did the little spinner, the online spinner, enter everyone's name in there, and we all get to find out together who got the third place prize, who got the second place prize, and who got the first place prize. And then I get to go and deliver the prizes. Here's one of the teachers that won a cornhole set. We did Apple Watches. We did, we did the Lululemon Studio Mirror. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like the workout mirror as a grand prize. We did some percussion massagers. So anything, we really wanted to make sure it wasn't just like weights and workout stuff, because not everybody wants that. The chirp wheel, I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like you roll on it for your back. So lots of different prizes that they can get. And that has really helped with participation as well. So how do you get this funded? So here are some different sources to consider. There is no magic formula for this. You do need to make sure that you are marketing it and promoting it in order to get funding behind it. So I will say, if you're just starting out, don't start out and say, I need this much money to start my program. Maybe you would get that, but my experience has been they want to see what's happening before they allocate funding to it. So you may need to go through LCAP, through ESSER, you may need to get grants, but I would say the biggest thing is go with your partners and work with your partners. VIBA charges us $0 to do that. All the different organizations that we've talked about, many of them, it is free to coordinate and collaborate with them. So we have very little. We have a budget of 0. Well, now we have the budget of 10,000 for prizes. But besides that, we don't have a budget for any of this stuff. The sports employees pay on their own because it's through those organizations. So, but once you can show that it's working, that people want it, then you can start looking for the different funding sources and say, hey, let's put this into LCAP so that we can have it sustained longer. All right, so last check-in. What are some ideas of how you might regularly check in with your employees? Maybe if it's just you, maybe you're going to have a graph somewhere of your 4 employees, and you're going to keep track that you verbally checked in with them. I don't know. What might you do? What might be your first step in promoting your program? Do you want to create an email? Do you want to do a logo? Those are kind of fun. And then are there any funding opportunities that you can think of? I'm going to have you do that as I continue to wrap up here. Okay. I was going to have you go back and talk with your same partners of what's your next best step to support employee wellness, but in sake of time, I'm going to skip over that and just give you my contact information here. Please feel free to get a hold of me. I told you I'm terrible at social media, so we do not have a huge social media presence on CVSD_well, but this is our district's social media, CVSD News, that does have a pretty good social media presence, so feel free to follow us there. And then, like I said, reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to talk about what's worked, what hasn't worked. Some things, the Wellness Wednesday check-ins might work at your district for a long time. But feel free to contact me. Happy to help however I can. And then here's just the QR code with the resources again, in case you didn't get it the first time. All right. Thank you so much.
Heather, we have a few minutes for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Heather? Any questions? Heather, I just want to give a shout out saying thank you. You were a solo presenter for 3 days, not on a panel. I really appreciate you. I wanted to invite you. You were recommended by the CDE to come here and present today, so I appreciate that recommendation from them. And also, I just wanted to say that sometimes when I visit districts, I visit a lot of districts and participate in a lot of meetings, always. And sometimes I feel like, I hear these conversations where they're kind of waiting for the district level, right, to catch up to maybe where you guys are, or just to launch. But we know people like even Aaron and Devinder and Michelle, right, I'll call you out, Matt, I can call you out, that you have your own departments, right? And so just starting, I went to one meeting one time and I walked in and Let It Go from Cruz was playing over a boombox. So when the managers came in, it was like, let it go out there, let it go, let it go. They had a little opportunity to talk about what they let go before they came into this meeting space. And I just think it's kind of those little steps that we start with staff wellness, right, along this journey. So I just want to say thank you for bringing all of this to us every single day this week.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions before questions for her? I mean, that's all I
My questions are way more than 2 minutes, so yes.
I was wondering if any of the, like the bowling alley or anybody, running the Triennial program were willing to give teachers a discount at all.
It is very discounted for all of the different leagues. So, for example, bowling. Has anyone been bowling lately?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yes.
Expensive.
Our two kids, the three of us, we went and did two games. We were only there for an hour. It was fast. $7